Welcome to Reddit Sourcebox. We bring the most sauciest and spiciest Reddit stories for your entertainment. The story of the day: what secret are you keeping that is ruining your life? Woman I was going to marry cheated on me after 6 years us together. 6 months later the guy she cheated on me with won the lottery, $80 million. They have now been together for 5 years. I try to act like it doesn't bother me, but truth is, it eats me up inside. I no longer believe in karma. Yes, it is 100% true. There's also a whole backstory to it. I do want to be clear that I don't have feelings towards my ex now, but more the fact that this was very hard to ignore what had happened. To this day, my ex doesn't even know that I know she cheated, and yes, it is 100% confirmed she did. It wasn't even worth bringing it up to her. To be honest, I don't think she would cheat on him. Yes, she cheated on me, but I wouldn't call her the type to cheat. She has issues just like anyone else. My daughter isn't mine. My fiancé went away for a tough mud run the weekend my daughter was conceived. I took the baby to get a DNA test one day when my fiancé was at work and I was at home with her, and sure enough, just like on Maury, I was not the father. I went to a doctor and it turns out I am sterile. I can't tell anyone because I love the little girl like she's my own, but it hurts when people comment on how much she looks like her mom, but never how much she looks like me. I could never bring myself to say anything to her though, because I don't want to not be in the little girl's life. As far as she knows, I am her father and she loves me unconditionally, and I can't ruin that. My fiancé got knocked up by someone else and claims the kid is mine. I don't have the heart to deny it. I wish my brother was dead. I know this makes me sound terrible, but there are reasons behind it. My brother was born 3 years before me. He was born with a malformed brain, which causes him to act like a 6-month-old for the rest of his life, meaning he screams at night, always wants to eat, and is very temperamental. Currently he is 20 and he still lives with me and my parents. He also since his birth has developed man things, diabetes, a gimp leg, legally blind but can see very, very poorly. He also, due to his malformed brain, has an immune system deficiency. Which means when our family gets a slight flu, he gets so sick we have to bring him to a special hospital. For example, when I was 9 and he was 12, we went to visit family for Christmas, where my whole family got sick. We had to leave early because he started having serious seizures and went into cardiac arrest, but I digress. The reason I want him to die is because he has no sense of deep emotion, only vague tones of happy, sad and confused. He has no style of life in his current situation, and he is a terribly large burden on both of my parents. Even though the only reason I was born was because he was born messed up and my parents wanted my other brother to have at least one normal sibling. I would happily chose to have never been born if it means my brother would be normal, or not born at all. My brother stays up most of the night screaming and crying, keeping my whole family up trying to watch him, which means each of us have 3 hours of sleep most nights. But my main reason I want him to die is to end his suffering. He can't communicate with anyone, just how we can't communicate with him. I can't imagine how lonely, lost, and scared he feels every day. I love my brother and there's a reason beyond any other I want him to die. It's because of that protective fraternal love I have for him. I know for a fact that my darkest day on earth won't come near to the sense of confusion and fear he feels on his average. I know that if I could do so legally I would have killed him many years ago, but this is not out of selfish reasons, it's out of love for my parents and wanting them to have the happy life they're owed after dealing with 2 kids and a mentally challenged kid. I want my brother to not have a constant isolation from the world that causes him misery and dreariness. I want my brother to die due to love. I can never be close to my sister because of her husband. My brother-in-law molested me when I was young, and continued to be handsy, a general creep when they became my guardians in high school. It, among other things he did, really started to mess with me, especially once I was trying to make it on my own in the real world. I became depressed, dropped out of college and attempted suicide, none of which my sister knew about. Once I got out of the hospital, I decided I should do us all a favor, tell her about everything so that she could know what a monster he is and justify the divorce she's been talking about for years. Before I got a chance to, he successfully committed suicide, in, might I add, one of the most selfish ways possible. Now my sister and her kids are devastated, completely turned off to any kind of discussion on mental health, look at me as all the bad things he convinced them I was, to discredit me if I ever gabbed, and glorify him as some kind of saint. I even tried to keep it simple and say I'd like to get my depression under control so I can focus on school, to which she'll freak out and yell at me because, oh, so you wanna go kill yourself now and put me through this all over again? How could I ever tell her that I've already tried, and because of her now dead husband? In short, I avoid my sister because I can't be around someone grieving for the monster who ruined my life. All my life I've claimed that I never want children, I'm not good with them, I don't think I would be a great mother. Last week I went to the doctor for a routine exam, and found out I have a hormone imbalance that makes me unable to have kids. Suddenly I realized how badly I want children despite me always denying it. I would kill to be able to have little mini-me's running around, me teaching them and watching them grow. Teaching them to play piano, watching their recitals, taking them out for ice cream afterwards. Reading them bedtime stories, and having their cute little green eyes gaze up at me with unconditional love. Ugh. I haven't told anyone what I found out last week, not my mom, not no one. It's eating me alive. I feel worthless, I don't feel like a woman. I'm 20 and in a relationship with a 39-year-old married father, and it's eating away at me. Basically, he says, there has been a lack of affection for a long time and his wife never wants to travel with him when he works. He would have gotten a divorce a while ago, but because there are no big problems in his marriage he stays because he couldn't not want to see his son every day. So I get paid $200 a week to do what his wife won't. He doesn't know, but I look at her Facebook and the family pictures every day to remind myself of the real costs of what I'm doing. I just needed to get it off my chest. When I was about 5 or so, I was visiting my next-door neighbor's house to play with their 1-year-old son. His parents were cleaning out the garage and we were in his room playing with toys. He was still learning how to walk at the time and was really clumsy on his feet, and when he lost his balance and hit his head on the side of the crib he immediately started crying. I didn't want his parents to think I hurt him since he was alone with me, so in my attempts to get him to quiet down I just put my hand over his mouth. Me being much bigger than he was, and my hand bigger than just his mouth, and desperate to get him to stop crying, I just pushed harder since he was squirming and pawing at my hand. After a while he stopped moving and crying. I took my hand off his mouth and he just laid there on the floor motionless. I panicked and ran to tell his mom that he just fell on the floor. His dad performed CPR on him while his mom was screaming on the phone with 911. They were able to resuscitate him before the ambulance arrived and he spent the night in the hospital for observation, but no one could figure out why he just stopped breathing that day. About a year later he started showing signs of neurological problems, but at my age I wasn't quite able to grasp what that meant or how it happened. When I was in my teenage years and able to comprehend what cerebral palsy was, I couldn't help but think that maybe I was the cause of his problems and felt absolutely disgusted by it. I never told anyone what I did, but I made it a point to be extra kind and patient with him when I seen him. I've since moved to the opposite side of the country and settled down with my husband, but the last time I was home I found out that my neighbors decided to sell their home and move into an apartment so they could afford good educational and developmental services for him. It literally breaks my heart. Last month I gave birth to my first child, and even though I barely remember that incident when I was 5, I'm still extra paranoid that my chest, breast, her blanket, her jacket hood, etc. are too close to her little baby face for her to get adequate oxygen. It honestly makes me feel incredibly guilty that I have a healthy child and my old neighbors don't. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, it's very important to us.